Chapter 50-41. Following that, Kong Shin-mu did not think too much about it. The young lady of the heavenly snow frosty frost dragon became a little cautious. She came in front of Kong Shin-mu and bowed to him. "Hello, junior brother. May I know your name?" The young lady of the heavenly snow frosty frost dragon asked as she blinked and introduced herself. "I am Yu Ruolin from the heavenly frost holy land." Kong Shin-mu nodded and said, "Kong Shin-mu from the Five Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land." Kong Shin-mu from the Five Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land? Hearing this, Yu Ruolin frowned slightly. She felt as if she had heard this name somewhere before, but she could not remember when she thought about it. It could not be helped. The Heavenly Frost Holy Land was very far from the Five Extremes Dark Ice Holy Land. Perhaps she had heard news about Kong Shin-mu before, such as him defeating Zhao Qingtian, but she would not look into this kind of news. She would probably forget about it after glancing at it. After all, it was too far away. There was no need for her to understand it in detail. As for the other 11 people led by Yu Ruolin, they had no impression of the name Jiang Shenwu. Although Kong Shin-mu was quite famous now, he was only famous among the 4 hostile races. Within the dragon gods, he was not that famous. Only a few powerhouses knew about him. For example, people like Deputy General Qing Lin knew that Kong Shin-mu had been sent by Emperor Shi to help. The main strategic significance of Kong Shin-mu was that although he looked like a peak emperor-level powerhouse, he had 4 subordinates who had inherited the power of the starry sky that were at least at the 2nd level of the supreme god realm. Furthermore, he himself was a powerful existence that could almost reach the 4th level of the supreme god realm. Such an existence was of great strategic significance on the battlefield. It was even more useful than a true supreme god level 4 dragon martial artist general. A true 4th level supreme god dragon warrior general would be targeted by the other party's powerhouses the moment they entered the battlefield and would be restricted. But Kong Shin-mu would not. On the battlefield, he was just like an ordinary peak martial emperor. In the chaotic battlefield environment, no one would notice him. However, his battle prowess was enough to allow him to rampage through the chaotic battlefield and kill a large number of enemy experts. The strategic significance of this was definitely not simple. "All right, junior brother." The young girl, Yu Ruolin, still felt that Kong Shin-mu was not as powerful as her. After all, he seemed to be at the peak of the emperor level, so she called him junior brother. She didn't know what kind of strategic significance Kong Shin-mu would have on the battlefield, but in any case, since Deputy General Qing Lin said so, she naturally believed it. It was impossible for her to doubt Kong Shin-mu. "Since you want each of us to attack you for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, let's find a place. Alright, the 3 of us are at the 1st level of the Transcendent God stage." After Yu Ruolin finished speaking to Kong Shin-mu, she turned around and instructed her team members. "No, there's no need," Kong Shin-mu immediately said. "Just use your full strength. Don't worry, your strength won't be able to hurt me. You won't be able to pose much of a threat to me. Furthermore, if you use your full strength, I will be able to complete my preparations as soon as possible." Preparations? Being beaten was the preparation before the battle? No one could understand the logic behind this, however. The 2 first-level Supreme God stage youths and Yu Ruolin were not convinced by Kong Shin-mu's attitude. What did he mean by saying that their strength couldn't hurt Kong Shin-mu? They were looking down on them too much. Jiang Shenwu was just a peak emperor-level brat. How could he have withstood the attack of a first-stage transcendent god? No matter what, they decided to teach Jiang Shenwu a lesson at the beginning of the match. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, everyone found the military training field of the Soaring Dragon Fortress as a training ground. This military training field was borrowed from the army of the Soaring Dragon Fortress after Kong Shin-mu had communicated with Mo Ya. They could train there for 4 hours. This was also the training field with the best conditions and environment in the entire Soaring Dragon Fortress. The training field had its own array of heaven and earth spirit chi. It could allow the dragon gods who were training in it to quickly recover their strength. It could also strengthen the compatibility between people and the heaven and earth spirit chi. It might allow people to increase their cultivation level faster and cultivate dragon martial skills. Ordinary people were not qualified to come to such a training field. Therefore, after coming to such a training field, Yu Ruolin and the others were completely convinced by Kong Shin-mu's identity. His identity was definitely not ordinary. Otherwise, how could he borrow a venue like the training field? Of course, The area they rented was only a small part of the Legion martial arts field. In the entire Legion martial arts field, there were still many Legion dragon warriors cultivating. Kong Shinmu and the other 13 people entered the training field, but they did not attract anyone's attention. After all the dragon warriors were training intensely, and no one had the time to be distracted. Nothing could attract their attention. The upcoming battle was too important to them. Soon, Jiang Shenwu, Yu Ruolin, and the others settled down in one of the military training grounds. "I'll go first." One of Yu Ruolin's vice-captains, the first-level Supreme God Stage youth who had always said that Kong Shinmu was a scammer, stood up first. He did not think that Kong Shinmu was a scammer now, but he was still unhappy that Kong Shinmu looked down on them. Was he not a threat to Kong Shinmu? He wanted to teach Kong Shinmu a lesson. Then he went up. Yu Ruolin reminded him, "Don't use your full strength. Just show off a little." What she meant was that it was fine to teach Kong Shinmu a lesson, but they must not really injure Kong Shinmu. Otherwise, if they did not make it in time for the upcoming battle, they would become sinners. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." The young man nodded and went up to the stage. Kong Shinmu had already transformed into his pitch-black divine dragon body and was waiting in the training field. The youth transformed into the body of a thunder divine dragon. The body of a first-level supreme god divine dragon looked several times bigger than Kong Shinmu's black dragon body. Moreover, the difference in aura between the two was huge. Now, Kong Shinmu looked like a small dragon warrior. His opponent, on the other hand, was like a powerful divine dragon. "Make your move." Kong Shinmu was not afraid at all. Instead, he calmly let his opponent make his move. "Humph, be careful." The youth snorted coldly, and the body of the Thunder Divine Dragon exploded with an extremely powerful thunder power. Chapter 5042. The new book, Number 1 God of All Times, had 30 chapters and 100,000 words today. He could read it just by searching it. And it was free. The young man did not think that his attack would pose no threat to Kong Shinmu. He was a level 1 transcendent god. He did not think too much about it. He planned to give Kong Shinmu a show of strength. He gathered 80% of his power and channeled it into the lightning. The lightning flashed on the training ground and exploded with terrifying power. It was the power of a level 1 transcendent god. It went berserk instantly. On the other hand, Jiang Shenwu's pitch-black divine dragon body appeared extremely calm and composed. The young man in front of him was not weak. He was indeed at the level of a level 1 transcendent god. Moreover, the power that he had exploded with was almost at the level of a level 1 transcendent god. If he used his full strength, he would probably be able to exchange a few blows with a level 2 transcendent god. Unfortunately, he was facing Kong Shinmu. Since Kong Shinmu had told his opponent to attack without worry, there would naturally be no problem. Starry Sky Decomposition. Kong Shinmu's Starry Sky Decomposition swept out at this moment. The power of the Starry Sky Inheritance had the effect of decomposition and was integrated with endless devouring power. Although his opponent's lightning power was strong and violent, it had already touched Kong Shinmu's Starry Sky Decomposition and devouring power before it even reached him. The power of both sides collided with a loud bang. A terrifying power exploded in the arena at this moment. It even caused the dragon warriors in the surrounding training ground to look over. It was rare to see such a powerful collision in the training ground. After all, most of the dragon warriors in the army were emperor-level powerhouses. There were only a few transcendent gods. Now, a battle between 2 transcendent gods would definitely attract some attention. After all, the battle was about to begin. When they entered the battlefield, they might not be able to meet an evenly matched opponent. What if they met a transcendent god powerhouse? They had to familiarize themselves with the situation now. If they failed too quickly, their powerhouses would not be able to save them in time. In the arena, the young man who was at the first stage of the transcendent god realm was shocked by Kong Shinmu's move. He did not expect Kong Shinmu to be able to block his attack. This was too terrifying. This was the tyrannical power of a peak first stage transcendent god, and Kong Shinmu was only a peak emperor level. It was impossible for him to withstand it. Moreover, the young man at the first level of the transcendent god also noticed that the lightning power that he had unleashed seemed to be attracted away by Kong Shinmu very quickly. This guy is absorbing my energy? The young man realized something and was even more shocked. He felt that Kong Shinmu did not hire people to attack him for no reason. Instead, it was an action with a purpose. Now it seemed that this was indeed the case. Absorb power? What use would this Kong Shinmu have for absorbing his power? The young man at the first stage of the transcendent god realm could not understand, but he could not give up halfway. Since 80% of his power did not seem to affect Kong Shinmu at all, he would use even more power. Come on, release all the lightning, the power of the 5-blow thunderstruck. The young man completely released the power of thunder within his body. A terrifying aura rapidly condensed in front of Jiang Shenwu. Amidst the flashes of heavenly lightning, endless arcs of lightning circled the entire martial arts arena. A terrifying power erupted, but Kong Shinmu remained calm. It was still the power of the starry sky decomposition and the devouring power. The combination of the two powers quickly devoured the endless lightning. This scene shocked many of the dragon martialists on and off the stage, as well as in other martial arts arenas. What kind of technique was this? How could it be so powerful? With one move, he had disintegrated the powerful lightning attack of the first stage of the transcendent god realm and even absorbed it? That was too terrifying. More importantly, the person who had used this technique was only at the peak of the emperor stage. For a time, many of the dragon warriors in the surrounding martial arts arena began to observe the situation here as long as they did not go on stage to practice. The situation on the battlefield was changing rapidly. They naturally had to observe what they had not seen before. The young man at the first stage of the transcendent god realm had not expected Kong Shinmu to be able to block his full-powered attack so easily. For a moment, he could not accept such an outcome. Come, continue. Kong Shinmu was opposite him. His pitch-black divine dragon body trembled slightly, even causing the void to tremble. According to the strength of your attack, half an incense stick will be enough. That's quite efficient. These words made the young man smile bitterly. This is already my strongest attack. I can't keep using my strongest attack. Now, he was completely convinced by Kong Shinmu. He realized that other than the cultivation of the dragon gods, Kong Shinmu seemed to have other inherited powers. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to do this. No matter how strong a peak emperor-level dragon warrior was, being able to block 80% of his attack was already a very powerful existence. There were probably not many people like that in the entire dragon gods. After all, 80% of his attack was already close to the peak of the first stage of the transcendent god realm. Not to mention that Kong Shinmu had easily blocked his full-powered attack. This made him understand that Kong Shinmu's true strength was definitely not just at the peak emperor level. He was even stronger than him. I heard a while ago that a few young dragon warriors seem to have obtained some new inherited power. Could it be this Kong Shinmu? It's no wonder. Such a guy can indeed play a strategic role in a chaotic battlefield. The young man now had a slight understanding of something. Although he still did not know what use Kong Shinmu had for absorbing his power, no matter what, since Kong Shinmu was on the side of the dragon gods and had spent a lot of gold dragon coins, he should help Kong Shinmu. In that case, let's do it again. I'll help you. The young man was forthright and did not say much. He just did his best to release 80% of his thunder attack. As for Kong Shinmu, he used the starry sky decomposition and integrated it with his devouring power, devouring the thunder attribute power as fast as possible. After about half an hour, Kong Shinmu finally felt that the thunder attribute power he had devoured was full. This made his resistance to the thunder attribute power reach the limit. Absorbing and devouring the power of the thunder attribute was no longer of any use to Jiang Shenwu. So, Kong Shinmu said directly, "All right, thank you, senior brother. I have absorbed enough thunder attribute power. You can send someone else up." Chapter 50-43. Next, it was Yurulin's turn. She had the inheritance of the celestial snow and frost dragon, which was an ice-based power. For Kong Shinmu, he had to absorb the ice-based power to its fullest. Through Yurulin's attacks, Kong Shinmu realized that the dragon martial technique she cultivated was not very destructive. However, her techniques were accompanied by a strong control ability. Boundless ice, a storm that swept the entire area, and could even cause the entire space to freeze. This ability was considered quite powerful in a team battle. Coupled with Yurulin's personality, it was understandable that she could become the leader of this team. Yurulin's attacks were blocked by Kong Shinmu. He had completely absorbed the power that she had displayed. Kong Shinmu could feel that Yu Rulan's attacks were not as violent as the young man's. However, there was still a sense of threat in the coldness. If Kong Shinmu did not use his techniques to absorb her power, he would really be firmly controlled by her techniques. After all, Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body was only at the level of a peak emperor level. Although he could now compete with a fourth-stage supreme god with the power of the Starry Sky Inheritance. If he did not use the power of the Starry Sky Inheritance, his strength as a dragon martial artist would probably be similar to Yu Rulan and the rest. Therefore, when Kong Shinmu attacked, he was still quite cautious. Kong Shinmu used his keen senses to sense all the power released by the opponent. Then, he used the Starry Sky decomposition and devouring power to break down and absorb the opponent's power. This was the best way for Kong Shinmu to absorb and devour. The strength of your attacks is not bad. Although your lethality is not as good as that senior brother's, you should be more useful in a team battle. Jiang Shenwu said to Yu Rulan after half an incense stick's time, after he finished devouring the ice attribute energy. Yu Rulan did not know whether to laugh or cry when she heard this. She did not know if this was a compliment to her or something else. She had always felt that Kong Shinmu was her junior brother and treated her like a little brother. However, she did not expect that Kong Shinmu would be able to withstand the bombardment of two first-stage supreme gods. He did not seem to feel any pressure at all. This made her understand that Kong Shinmu was a true transcendent. Otherwise, it would not have been so easy. When she got off the stage, she thought of the same speculation as the young man before her. Perhaps this Kong Shinmu was the genius who had just obtained a brand new inheritance? No wonder the 5 extreme mysterious ice holy lands Kong Shinmu sounded a little familiar. He must have come into contact with him before. It was just that he did not have a deep impression of him. Following that, Kong Shinmu took the brunt of his opponent's attacks one by one. Other than the 3 transcendent experts, Kong Shinmu spent less than an incense's time devouring and absorbing their power, raising his resistance to the extreme. As for the other peak stage emperor class experts, they attacked Kong Shinmu for more than an incense's time. It did not take much time for all 12 of them to work together. There was still some time left in the 4 hours given by the martial arts arena. The battle is about to begin. I don't think we should waste the remaining time in the martial arts arena. The young man from the Thunder Divine Dragon suddenly suggested with a smile. Why don't we go up together and spar with little brother Kong Shinmu? I can tell that little brother Kong Shinmu is very strong. Even if we team up, we might not be a match for him. How about it, Kong Shinmu? Do you want to spar with us? When Kong Shinmu heard this guy's request, he did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, when he thought about the fact that this team was about to enter the chaotic battlefield, and that one of them might not be around the next time they met, they had helped Kong Shinmu once, so it was not bad that Kong Shinmu agreed to their request. Anyway, the battle had not begun yet, and there was nothing else for Kong Shinmu to prepare. Hence he nodded and said, "All right. This can be considered a warm-up for everyone before stepping onto the battlefield." After all, Kong Shinmu did not feel any pressure. Moreover, he had made up his mind that he only needed to defend from now on. If they were to really fight, these people would not be a match for him. Even if they joined forces, they would not be able to withstand the Starry Sky disintegration alone. Of course, it would only be possible if the 12 of them formed a defensive formation together. However, in a real battle, how could they have the chance to form a defensive formation? Therefore, Kong Shinmu would not make a move. Immediately after, the 12 people entered the arena together. Yu Rulan was also eager to try. This was the first time she had met someone like Kong Shinmu. She wanted to spar with Kong Shinmu, and it would be best if she could see how much power Kong Shinmu had. In an instant, the 12 people's attacks all erupted, and they swept towards Kong Shinmu. After more than an hour, Kong Shinmu led the 12 people away from the arena. The last hour of sparring had exhausted the 12 people in Yu Rulan's team. Each of them was so exhausted that they were twitching. Sigh, if I had known earlier, I would have let all of you fight together. It would have saved a lot of time. Kong Shinmu sighed. Just now, there were a total of 12 people fighting together, but Kong Shinmu did not feel much pressure. Instead, the speed at which he devoured power was much faster than when he fought one by one. This made Kong Shinmu feel a little regretful that he did not discover this method. At this moment, the 12 people in Yu Rulan's team were all listless and exhausted. Even Yu Ruolin and the two first-stage transcendent gods were a little exhausted. The three of them had fought until the end, and they had been attacking for more than an hour. The others were supporting them from the side. It seemed like this was their strategy on the battlefield. Of course, if they really fought, there should be a first-stage transcendent god watching from the side. He would not make a move, lest the three transcendent gods were all exhausted. To be honest, Kong Shinmu felt that their joint strategy was not bad. At least such a team would still be able to fight against a second-stage transcendent god. At the very least, they would be able to buy some time. Moreover, such an elite team could cooperate well with each other. It seemed like they had experienced many difficult battles together. Moreover, there would definitely be sacrifices in the battle. In other words, this team might not have started with 12 people. At least not the current 12 people. Among the teams training in the Soaring Dragon Fortress, there was probably no team that could remain completely intact. Chapter 50-44. Kong Shinmu, you are very strong. After coming out, Yu Ruolin said goodbye to Kong Shinmu. Do your best on the battlefield. Bring glory to our dragon gods. Of course. Kong Shinmu nodded. Let's go. Yu Ruolin turned and left with her team. But in her heart, Kong Shinmu was the #1 figure. He was a strong cultivator that she had rarely met. Not only was he strong, but he was also mentally strong. This was not something that could be achieved through hard work. Kong Shinmu watched her team leave without saying anything. In the past 4 hours, he had devoured the power of 12 different elements, increasing his resistance to these elements to the peak. For this, he had paid a price of 12,000 gold dragon coins. But this was a small matter to him. After all, he had many ways to earn gold dragon coins. Over the years, he had amassed over 300,000 gold dragon coins after wandering around so many outlying strongholds. The war is about to begin. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. Less than 2 hours after Kong Shinmu came out of the army training field, there was the sound of drums outside the Soaring Dragon Fortress. The war had finally begun. The cultivators of the Devil Leader clan had begun to attack the Soaring Dragon Fortress. Facing the cultivators of the Devil Leader clan, the dragon gods could not easily kill them, because the way the Devil Leader clan fought was to summon the Devil Leader. The Devil Leader clan was a kind of puppet. It was a pitch-black stone man. The cultivation method of the Devil Leader clan allowed the cultivators to use their own power to condense these pitch-black stone puppets. They were called devil puppets. Basically, when the 4 races joined forces to attack the foreign fortresses of the dragon gods, the Devil Leader clan was in charge of the siege. As long as the Devil Leader clan had enough power, they could always summon devil puppets to fight for them. A peak Emperor-level Devil Leader clan could summon a devil puppet with the combat power of a peak Emperor-level devil puppet after a certain amount of time. At the same time, there could be 3 devil puppets. Even if one was destroyed, they could quickly condense and summon another. Of course, it would take a long time to summon a demonic puppet that was equivalent to one's cultivation level. It would take at least a few hours. But if this kind of war continued, it would undoubtedly be extremely beneficial to the Devil Fiend tribe. Thus, a siege against the Devil Fiends was not like an ordinary siege, where they only needed to defend. Once they defended to the death, the only outcome would be the stronghold being breached. His opponent's demonic puppets were endless. Therefore they had to take the initiative to attack. In this way, the positions of both sides were more or less the same. The dragon gods needed to leave the fortress and attack the main body of the devil chiefs instead of killing the devil puppets. Generally speaking, these devil chiefs would be protected by a devil puppet. Of the 3 devil puppets, one would be used to protect themselves, allowing the devil puppet's body to envelop them. Some devil chiefs would hide in one of the devil puppets. When all 3 devil puppets were controlled on the battlefield, no one would be able to tell where their main body was. Although the control of the devil puppets was not limited by distance, if one could not see the battlefield with a naked eye, there was no way to control them. Without someone controlling them, the devil puppets would not be able to fight at all. Therefore, the devil chiefs would usually hide somewhere close to their devil puppets. When the battle drums sounded outside the Soaring Dragon stronghold, Kong Shinmu looked up and saw that from all sides of the Soaring Dragon stronghold, there was an army of dragon warriors flying up. They transformed into countless divine dragons and flew out of the stronghold. It was a spectacular scene that made one's blood boil. There were also many dragon martialists, including Yu Ruolin. The team she led was also flying out of the stronghold. All around the soaring dragon's stronghold, there were attacks from demonic puppets that covered the sky and covered the earth. It's easy for me to find the main body of the devil chiefs, but if I want to kill them, I'll be exposed. Looks like I can only rely on luck. Let's go. Kong Shinmu also flew out of the soaring dragon's stronghold. He also called out Gu Xinyue and the other three from the small universe. As soon as Gu Xinyue and the other three came out, they immediately used the Starry Sky inheritance to hide themselves. Kong Shinmu did the same. They could not openly appear on the battlefield. The five of them hid themselves and went to the battlefield outside the stronghold. Soon, they found that the outside of the soaring dragon's stronghold was in chaos. Whether it was in the sky or on the ground, countless devil puppets were attacking the stronghold. The dragon warriors were facing the attacks, constantly searching for the main body of the devil chiefs. The main body of the devil chiefs could be hidden in their own devil puppets, or in the devil puppets of others. In fact, a powerful devil puppet could even hide the bodies of hundreds of ordinary devil chiefs. If the powerful devil puppet was not killed, the ordinary devil chiefs could not be harmed at all. Therefore, the devil chiefs' attack was very strategic. Among their powerful devil puppets, there would be many ordinary devil chiefs. For example, a team of 12 devil chiefs would have a first-stage transcendent god, and the others would be first-stage emperors. Then before you killed the first-stage transcendent god leader, the other team members could not be killed, because they were all hiding in the bodies of first-stage transcendent god puppets. Soon, Kong Shinmu and the other four entered the battlefield. Even though they were hiding, it did not mean that they were completely safe. The turbulence in the battlefield was too strong. Terrifying ripples of power swept over from all directions, and if they were not careful, they would be sucked in. Kong Shinmu and the others were only hiding, not completely disappearing from the world. So even though they could not see, the turbulence could still hurt them. We don't have to rush. Let's find our target first. Kong Shinmu instructed Gu Xinyue and the others. They continued to search the battlefield. Suddenly, Kong Shinmu thought of an idea and narrowed his eyes. His perception abilities seemed to be very useful in dealing with the devil fiends. Since he could not attack now, could he warn others? As long as he told them where the main body of the devil chiefs was hiding, wouldn't it be easy to kill them? That's a good idea. Kong Shinmu wanted to give it a try. Chapter 50-45. Gu Xinyue and the other three were already hidden in the battlefield. They were searching for a Supreme God Stage 4 opponent in the chaotic battlefield outside the Soaring Dragon Fortress for a chance to attack. Kong Shinmu was not far from Yu Rulin's team of 12. The Devil Chief's tribe team that was fighting against them had summoned a total of 30 demon puppets. They were surrounding Yu Rulin's team. 30 demon puppets was about the size of a Devil Chief's tribe team of 12. However, they did not know where the other 6 demon puppets were. It was very likely that they were hiding somewhere else. The Devil Chiefs themselves were also hidden within the 6 demon puppets, controlling the 30 demon puppets from afar. For the Devil Chiefs, the further away they were, the lower the combat power of the demon puppets they could control. Therefore, if they wanted to control the demon puppets to fight, they could not be too far away from their own demon puppets. Kong Shinmu did not think too much about it. After all, he could not attack them openly. Although Yu Rulin and the others were facing a great deal of pressure, it was obvious that the 30 demon puppets weren't particularly powerful. This means that the Devil Chiefs controlling these demon puppets might be some distance away from here. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. Fighting against the Devil Chief's tribe army was the most difficult. 4 ordinary dragon warriors, it was very difficult to kill a Devil Chief's tribe member. At most, they could destroy a few demon puppets. However, if they destroyed the demon puppets, they would be able to form 3 more demon puppets after a while. In other words, if the dragon gods died, they would really die. It would be a huge loss. If the demon puppets were killed, they would only consume some of the opponent's resources. They would not weaken the opponent's overall combat power. The opponent would only need to rest for a few days before they could regroup. When Kong Shinmu arrived, he found that although Yu Rulin and the others were struggling to resist the attacks of the 30 demon puppets, it was not very dangerous. When the 12 of them worked together, their defense was very good. They also used all kinds of formations. When Kong Shinmu fought with them, he felt that unless it was a Supreme God Stage 3 expert, they would not be able to pose a threat to his team. Therefore, Kong Shinmu did not need to worry about their safety for the time being. The combat power of the 12 devil puppets formed by the 12 devil chiefs was not particularly strong. Only 6 of them had reached the level of a first-stage supreme god. There was some coordination between the 3 devil puppets, so after fighting for a while, Yurulan and the others could roughly tell which of the 30 devil puppets belonged to the same devil chief clan. They didn't need to distinguish too clearly, but this kind of observation made it easier for them to find out where the other's main body was. Although he could not be certain, it was very likely that the other party would reveal some clues. Kong Shinmu only took a glance and shook his head. He had been hiding in the void around him, and had long since discovered that none of the 30 devil puppets had their true bodies. Otherwise, the battle prowess of the 30 demonic puppets wouldn't be so weak. There were even some parts of their battle that weren't coordinated. Their main body definitely wasn't too close to this place. Kong Shinmu thought for a moment, then keenly sensed and distinguished the types of auras of these 30 demonic puppets. Then, he carefully observed the battlefield. The cosmic runes had a way to strengthen one's senses, and Kong Shinmu had fused with the powerful senses of the Nightmare Ink beast. In this kind of situation, he could accurately determine the source of the other party's power. He quickly sensed a trace of power. This power aura was being emitted by the 30 devil puppets, and it was being transmitted through the void in an extremely secretive manner. Moreover, the traces of the 30 devil puppets' power auras were all pointing in the same direction. This meant that the main body of the Devil Chief clan was very likely in that direction, and they were all gathered together. Once he could eliminate the other party, he would be able to eliminate the other party completely. Kong Shinmu quickly moved in the direction he had sensed and quickly flew in the direction he had sensed. He moved forward in the void, and even in this chaotic battlefield, it was as if he was walking on flat ground. No one could discover his traces. As for the higher echelons of the supreme gods and supreme existences, once they got close, they would naturally be discovered by Kong Shinmu in advance, and he would retreat in advance. But now, Kong Shinmu did not sense any existences around him that could discover him. Very quickly, he followed the traces of the 30 devil puppets' power auras and arrived at another battlefield. Then, he discovered that there was a gathering place of the Devil Chief clan's captains in the other battlefield. There were a few Supreme God-level devil puppets in this place. 2 of them were even at the 4th level of the Supreme God level. This shocked Kong Shinmu. The traces of power auras that he had been following led directly to the body of one of the 4th level devil puppets. This meant that the main body of the Devil Chief clan team that was fighting with Yurulan and the others were all in the body of this 4th level devil puppet. In the area in front of Kong Shinmu, there were a total of 5 devil puppets. 2 of them were at the 4th level, and 3 of them were at the 3rd level. With such a lineup, no Dragon God's team came to find these devil puppets. But, it was likely that the main bodies of all the Devil Chief clan members were hiding in these devil puppets. I have to inform Deputy General Qing Lin. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. The 5 Supreme God-level devil puppets in front of him were not something that Kong Shinmu could easily kill. Once he attacked, his existence would be exposed. Moreover, with 2 of the 4th level devil puppets together, even if Kong Shinmu wanted to attack, it would be difficult for him to kill both of them silently. Once he failed, this mission would be completely ruined. Therefore, Kong Shinmu used his thoughts to contact Emoya. Emoya, I found a gathering place for the main bodies of the Devil Chief clan. Can you inform Deputy General Qing Lin and ask him to come and clean up this area? Okay, I will inform Deputy General Qing Lin to come over. Emoya's gentle voice quickly reached Kong Shinmu's ears. Then there was no more news. However, Kong Shinmu knew that Deputy General Qing Lin would definitely come over soon. Emoya had indeed done a very good job of contacting the experts of the stronghold. Kong Shinmu hid nearby and carefully sensed the situation within the bodies of the 5 devil puppets. Even with his powerful senses, he could not clearly sense how many Devil Chief clan members were inside. But these 5 devil puppets were still constantly moving around the battlefield. Whenever they encountered a team of dragon gods, they would crush them. There was no one who could stop them. On this side of the battlefield, they were the overlords. But, after a few minutes, a powerful divine dragon descended from the sky. Deputy General Qing Lin had arrived. Chapter 50-46. Deputy General Qing Lin was the inheritor of the wind attribute divine dragon essence blood. As soon as he appeared, an extremely strong gust of wind was set off. The 5 Supreme God Level 3 and Level 4 demonic puppets all wanted to escape at this moment. Unfortunately, it was too late to escape. This was just a small corner of the battlefield. Compared to the entire soaring dragon fortress, it was just a small area. They had never expected Deputy General Qing Lin, who was at the pinnacle of the Supreme God realm, to descend into this area and attack the 5 demon puppets. The key problem was that there were many other places in this area that had Supreme God Level 3 and Level 4 demon puppets. How did Deputy General Qing Lin know that their true bodies were within these 5 demon puppets? It only took an instant. Deputy General Qing Lin attacked. A violent gust of wind swept through the area, and the 5 demon puppets were torn apart and disintegrated. The true bodies of the dozens of fiend devil archfiends hidden within were all buried in the violent winds at this moment. In an instant, dozens of demon chiefs were killed. All the demonic puppets in the surrounding area immediately stopped moving. Without the command and control of the main body, these demonic puppets were like dead objects, completely stopping. Kong Shinmu hid in the dark and watched this scene. He was shocked and surprised. Deputy General Qing Lin's strength was simply too strong. Against the 5 Supreme God Level 4 and Level 3 demon puppets, he could easily tear them apart with a wave of his divine dragon claws. After the true bodies were killed, the demon puppets in the surrounding area finally quieted down. All the demon puppets lost their true bodies. In an instant, more than 100 demon chiefs were killed. Their true bodies were hidden within the bodies of the 5 Supreme God Level 3 and Level 4 demon puppets. Deputy General Qing Lin had killed them all. Looks like the demon chiefs are using a group tactic this time. As long as the leader of each team doesn't die, they can guarantee the strongest combat power in the area. Deputy General Qing Lin immediately discovered where Kong Shinmu was hiding. He sent a voice transmission to him. Kong Shinmu, your senses are not bad. It's a pity that your concealment ability isn't that strong. Why don't I give you a boost so that you can continue galloping on this battlefield? Can you find the location of the peak Supreme God level Devil Fiend race's main body? When Kong Shinmu heard this, he immediately understood what the other party meant. This was asking him to specifically search for the real body of the enemy leader on the battlefield. This way, he could defeat the enemy as quickly as possible. Kong Shinmu pondered for a moment before replying, I'm not sure yet, but theoretically speaking, it should be possible. Of course, if the other party has any special concealment methods, then I can't guarantee that I'll be able to detect them. Sure. Deputy General Qing Lin smiled. I'll help you conceal your aura. Don't worry, no matter how many enemies I kill this time, I'll give you half of the achievement points. Half of his achievement points. To be honest, Kong Shinmu was tempted when he heard that. This was far more efficient than killing enemies on his own. Although he had only received half of the merit points, he had still managed to kill more than 100 devil fiends in that one attack. Among them, there were more than 10 supreme gods. Even half of this amount of achievement points was enough to exchange for a portion of Dubhe Stone liquid. With another wave, he might even be able to exchange for all the Dubhe Stone liquid in the Soaring Dragon Stronghold. However, Kong Shinmu knew very well why Deputy General Qing Lin was giving him such good treatment. Because if he could use this ability well, he could completely change the course of the entire battle. He could even deal a heavy blow to the Devil Fiend race army. To the Devil Fiend race army, this would be a fatal blow. Due to the unique characteristics of the Devil Fiend race, they usually had several ways of fighting. This kind of gathering tactic allowed them to unleash the greatest battle power in their area, as well as their ability to fight continuously. No matter how many devil puppets died, they could reform. As long as they used their strongest power to protect their main body, it would be fine. Generally speaking, these devil puppets with the main body of the Devil Fiend race in them had special concealment abilities that could not be easily discovered. But to Kong Shinmu, this concealment ability was ineffective. And now, the Devil Fiend race using this kind of gathering tactic was right in front of Kong Shinmu's eyes. As long as he found a place where the main body of the Devil Fiend race was gathered, Kong Shinmu could inform Deputy General Qing Lin to come and wipe them all out in one fell swoop. This was practically a war harvester. Without Kong Shinmu, even Deputy General Qing Lin would not be able to see if the main body of the Devil Fiend race was hidden in these ordinary Supreme God Devil puppets. But if Kong Shinmu found them, then the end of the Devil Fiend race would come. If I can find more than 100 Supreme God Devil Fiend race's main bodies, then I can obtain at least a few 100,000 gold dragon coins worth of achievement points. I can obtain the Dubhe Stone liquid, and even obtain a lot of achievement points that I can use to exchange for other cultivation resources. In fact, if I can find the enemy's peak Supreme God Commander and have Deputy General Qing Lin surround him, my achievement points will explode. With Kong Shinmu's current strength, there was no way he could kill a Supreme God Devil Fiend race's main body. But as long as he found the enemy's main body and had Deputy General Qing Lin take action, he could instantly earn half of the achievement points. How terrifying! Of course, Kong Shinmu, if you find a powerful Supreme God Devil Fiend race's main body that even I can't deal with, the achievement points you earn will definitely be distributed to your comrades. Time is of the essence on the battlefield. For example, if you find a Supreme God Devil Fiend race's main body, I will definitely have the Supreme Commander of the Soaring Dragon Fortress take action. In that case, I won't be able to earn much achievement points, so I won't be able to give you much. Kong Shinmu expressed his understanding of Deputy General Qing Lin's words. After all, there were not many Supreme God Devil Fiend race opponents on the entire battlefield. It would not be easy for Kong Shinmu to meet one. Even if he did, he might not be able to find the main body's hiding place. Therefore, Kong Shinmu did not think about this problem for now. Even if he did meet one and only received a small portion of the achievement points, it would still be a lot for Kong Shinmu. After all, that was a Supreme God Devil Fiend race's main body. To the entire Devil Fiend race army, they were extremely important figures. Deputy General Qing Lin quickly began to enhance Kong Shinmu's concealment power. Chapter 50-47. This way, Kong Shinmu could move more freely on the battlefield. After receiving the Wind Attribute concealment power from Deputy General Qing Lin, Kong Shinmu looked around. The third and fourth levels of the demon puppets' hiding places had been completely eliminated. As a result, the demonic puppets in this small area all stopped moving as if they were broken. Yu Rulin's team, which was not far away, was originally facing the joint attack of 30 demonic puppets. Although they were able to resolve the situation, they were still in a perilous situation and were in constant danger. But now, when they attacked, they suddenly realized that their opponents were not moving. The true bodies of these demon puppets have been killed. Yu Rulin immediately understood the reason. Come, everyone, let's get rid of these demon puppets. It was not just her team. Dozens of Dragon Gods teams around them began to clear out the immobile demon puppets. This was equivalent to clearing out an area. They still needed time to destroy these demon puppets. Kong Shinmu did not stay in this area. He quickly went to other areas, preparing to find other places where the true bodies of the demon leader race were gathered. The demon leader race's strategy this time was originally a very effective way to ensure that they could fight a protracted battle. But when they met Kong Shinmu, it was like they had met their nemesis. As long as Kong Shinmu found out where the true bodies were, they would be completely destroyed in one wave. Unlike the usual guerrilla warfare, it was very difficult for Kong Shinmu to find them one by one. Even if he found them one by one, Deputy General Qing Lin did not have that much time to kill them one by one. After all, Deputy General Qing Lin still needed to restrain the experts of the enemy army. He would not be free for a long time. Of course, as long as Kong Shinmu found a group of demon leader race's true bodies, he would be able to find time to get rid of them. After all, Deputy General Qing Lin's main task was to restrain them, not fight them head-on. Therefore, Kong Shinmu flew to the side. Around the area where the demon puppets were paralyzed, some of the demon leader race had already discovered that something was wrong. They even began to move their true bodies. Kong Shinmu ignored these demon leader race. Instead, he flew to a slightly further place to search. Soon, he found another place where the true bodies of the demon leader race were gathered. This place was where the demon leader race was gathered. It was led by a Supreme God level 7th level demon puppet, surrounded by several Supreme God level demon puppets. There were a total of 3 Supreme God level 7th level demon puppets in this area. These 3 devil skeletons had clearly come from the same devil archer, but they were scattered in 3 different directions. Among the 3 Supreme God level 7 demonic puppets, one of them had an empty body. One devil puppet had a small number of devil chief clansmen in its body, but one devil puppet had over 100 devil chief clansmen in its body. This method of concealment was quite exquisite. If it wasn't for Jiang Shenwu's superb perception, he really wouldn't have been able to discover where they were hiding. but they split up to confuse their opponents so that they would not know which demon puppet they were hiding in. Unfortunately, they had encountered Kong Shin Mu. Not only had they failed to confuse their opponents, they had also weakened their own combat power. Unfortunately, they had encountered Kong Shin Mu. Not only had they failed to confuse their opponents, they had also weakened their own combat power. This was not a problem. Usually, Deputy General Qing Lin and the others would be held back by the demon leader race. They would not have the time to find their true bodies one by one. But this time, Kong Shin Mu had appeared. Kong Shin Mu's appearance could be said to be the demon leader race's nightmare. Kong Shin Mu had discovered the hiding place of the Supreme God level 7th level demon leader race's true bodies and more than 100 Supreme God level demon leader race's true bodies. He had immediately informed Deputy General Qing Lin of his current location. He had not alerted them at all. The Supreme God level 7th level demon leader race's true bodies could not discover Kong Shin Mu, who had been enhanced by the wind of concealment. Kong Shin Mu's concealment ability was already very strong. After being enhanced by the wind of concealment, it was even more terrifying. Those who had not reached the Supreme God level would not be able to discover his existence. Not long after, Deputy General Qing Lin arrived again. When the 7th stage Transcendent God demonic puppet discovered Deputy General Qing Lin's whereabouts, it immediately wanted to escape. However, Deputy General Qing Lin was already prepared when he descended. A terrifying gale swept through the entire area once again, appearing in front of Kong Shin Mu. Kong Shin Mu retreated far away to avoid being affected. As far as the eye could see, there was a howling hurricane. The 7th layer's demonic centipede that Jiang Shenwu had marked was directly blown to pieces by the hurricane, disintegrating into a pile of ashes. Hundreds of Supreme God-level demon leader races' true bodies had died in this attack. Deputy General Qing Lin was not weak. If the Supreme God level 7th level demon leader race's 3 demon puppets gathered together, they might be able to resist for a while. They might even be able to hold on until the demon leader race's reinforcements arrived. But unfortunately, in order to confuse the dragon gods, he had separated the 3 demon puppets. This lone demonic puppet with some low-level and middle-level transcending god demonic puppets was naturally unable to withstand the destructive attack that Deputy General Qing Lin had prepared. Soon after, with Deputy General Qing Lin's attack, the entire area was cleared. Then, all the demon puppets in the surrounding area lost control. The dragon gods in the area counterattacked, and a terrifying power exploded in the entire area. Before Deputy General Qing Lin attacked, almost all the dragon gods in the area had been suppressed. After all, each of them had to face an average of 3 times the number of enemies. But now, it was time to counterattack. Kong Shin Mu looked at the paralyzed, uncontrolled demon puppets in the area and heaved a sigh of relief. He was also a little excited. This kind of action was like a beacon. Wherever he pointed, Deputy General Qing Lin would attack. Eliminating the demon leader race's true bodies like this was fatal to the demon leader race's army. And he believed that after these 2 attacks, the demon leader race would have already noticed. Kong Shin Mu realized that there were already many demon leader race's true bodies around him that had started to disperse. This time, the Supreme God level 7th level Deputy General was killed. Among them, there were 2 Supreme Gods level 5, 3 Supreme Gods level 4, and 7 Supreme Gods level 1 to level 3. Chapter 50-48. Deputy General Qing Lin's surprise was inevitable. This was the first time a dragon warrior had such a perceptive ability since the start of the war between the Soaring Dragon Fortress and the Devil Kuei clan. They could see through the appearance of a demon puppet and see if the Devil Kuei clan's main body was in it. It was important to note that the Soaring Dragon stronghold and the Demon Fiend tribe had been at a stalemate for far too long. Furthermore, the losses suffered by both sides were definitely more severe on the Soaring Dragon stronghold side. Although there were many dragon warriors who came to the battlefield of the Soaring Dragon Fortress and made great achievements in battle, then obtained a large number of cultivation resources and broke through to a stronger realm, and after returning to the great world of the dragon gods, they became heroes who were sung by people. But the number of dragon warriors who had died in the Soaring Dragon Fortress was even greater. Clearly, the Devil Kuei clan's combat power was overwhelming. Of course, because the Devil Kuei clan was small in number, they had not been able to launch any large-scale attacks. After all, the Devil Kuei clan was responsible for many outland fortresses. They could not concentrate all their forces on the Soaring Dragon Fortress. For a long time, the Devil Xueqi clan had not been large. Compared to old clans like the Dragon Gods, there was a huge gap. But with their unique fighting style, they had been able to establish themselves in this world. Now, they had become a big opponent of the Dragon Gods. Although they were fighting 4 major clans at the same time, the Devil Xueqi clan had brought them a lot of trouble. The Devil Xueqi clan army attacking the Soaring Dragon Fortress now numbered about 70 to 80,000. The Dragon God's army and cultivators defending the Soaring Dragon Fortress added up to about 150,000. At first glance, they seemed to have the advantage in numbers. In fact, each Devil Xueqi clan warrior could control 3 demon puppets of the same level. Their combat power was 3 times. Under such circumstances, the Dragon Gods were actually at a disadvantage in terms of numbers. For a long time, it was not just the Soaring Dragon Fortress. The other outland fortresses that faced the Devil Xueqi clan had been a headache. After all, they could not tell which demon puppet the main body of the Devil Xueqi clan was in. Naturally, they could not attack the main body of the Devil Xueqi clan effectively. Of course, if the opponent was 3 levels higher, for example, a 7th-level dragon warrior against a 4th-level Devil Xueqi clan demon puppet, they could search for clues and find out where the opponent's main body was. But generally speaking, the devil puppets of the Devil King clan all had the ability to resist the perception of the Dragon God clan. Therefore, forget about being 3 levels higher. Even if they were 4 or 5 levels higher, it would still take a very long time for them to discover the location of the other party's main body. Under the continuous attack of countless demon puppets, their numbers were several times that of their own. In such a situation, it was naturally very difficult for them to find the location of the other party's main body. That was Kong Shin-mu. Now, he was actually able to find the hiding spot of the enemy's main body in one go, and perfectly conceal himself as he roamed the battlefield. How could Deputy General Qing Lin not be shocked? After all, this meant that it wasn't just the Soaring Dragon Fort, but all the other Outer Realm strongholds that faced the Devil Xueqi tribe would also have a magic weapon that could defeat the Devil Xueqi tribe, and that weapon was Kong Shin-mu. Kong Shin-mu's existence was the best blow to the Devil Xueqi tribe. Even if the other party didn't use concentrated tactics, it didn't matter to Kong Shin-mu. His ability to sense the existence of the enemy's main body was still there, so he could still exert his advantage in that kind of chaotic battlefield. Kong Shin-mu, with this ability of yours, why didn't you come to our Soaring Dragon Fort earlier? Haha. Deputy General Qing Lin laughed. He had more and more trust and appreciation for Kong Shin-mu's ability. This time, you are the great hero of our Dragon God clan. Kong Shin-mu, you just need to do as I say, and perhaps you can completely disintegrate the plan of the 4 races to attack the Dragon God clan, and even defeat them. Then, Deputy General Qing Lin told Kong Shin-mu about some of the ideas he had come up with. To Kong Shin-mu, this idea was simply too grand. Originally, he thought that he was just a small character who had made some contributions in the war and exchanged them for some Dubhe stone liquid. But in Deputy General Qing Lin's plan, he had even become the key factor in defeating the invaders of the 4 races. Or rather, not defeating them, but repelling them. They didn't necessarily have to wipe out the 4 races in one fell swoop. Instead, as long as one of them was repelled, the alliance between the 4 races could be easily disintegrated. And this breakthrough point was the Devil Xueqi tribe. The Devil Xueqi tribe was not very large in number to begin with, and compared to the large races like the Dragon God clan and the Demon God clan, it was incomparable. Among the 5 races that were currently at war, there was no doubt that the Devil Xueqi tribe would find it the most difficult to accept their losses. Although it was quite a pity that the dragon warriors of the Dragon God clan were sacrificed on the battlefield, the Dragon God clan was relatively large, and they could still bear such losses. But for the Devil Xueqi tribe, it was not so. The Devil Xueqi tribe was too small, and if they suffered too many casualties on the battlefield, they would definitely be unable to bear it and would retreat from the encirclement. Deputy General Qing Lin had specially designed a set of combat methods to counter Kong Shin-mu's current abilities. Or rather, it was not a set of combat methods, nor was it a battle strategy. In fact, it was just a battle of attrition. As long as the battle continued, with Kong Shin-mu's super perceptive abilities, the Devil Xueqi tribe's losses would be many times greater than before, perhaps even dozens of times greater. The Devil Xueqi tribe would not be able to bear such losses. Alright, let's start from the battle at the Soaring Dragon Fortress. Show your terrifying strength against the Devil Xueqi tribe. Deputy General Qing Lin had high hopes for Kong Shin-mu. If, in the end, Kong Shinmu really used the Devil Kuei tribe as a breakthrough point and ended the war, it would undoubtedly be a great achievement for Deputy General Qing Lin. After discovering Jiang Shenwu, Deputy General Qing Lin did not want to see more wars, nor did he want to see more dragon martial artists die on the battlefield. Every time he saw so many talented young people of the Dragon God clan die on the battlefield, Deputy General Qing Lin felt that it was a great pity. These talented young people of the Dragon God clan were likely to grow up to be the pillars of the Dragon God clan in the future, but now they died on such a battlefield. But helplessly, the current situation of the war really needed the help of these dragon warriors. Sacrifice was inevitable. Chapter 50-49. Kong Shinmu understood Qing Lin's meaning. Next, he would use this ability on the battlefield against the Devil Chiefs. It wasn't that he hadn't fought against the Devil Chiefs before, but he had only accepted some assassination missions. He had never encountered such a fierce large-scale battle like this. And this was an attack on the Soaring Dragon stronghold. In a battle like this, Kong Shinmu's ability could be used to its fullest. Sensing the Devil Chief's true bodies was not just an ability that allowed Qing Lin to concentrate his attacks on the enemy's army. Even if the enemy did not use a concentrated strategy, Kong Shinmu's ability could greatly influence the outcome of the battle. For example, at this moment, because Deputy General Qing Lin had suddenly appeared and killed nearly 200 cultivators from the Devil Fiend tribe, the Devil Fiend tribe had begun to pay attention to this situation. Although he did not know how Qing Lin had sensed that so many Devil Chiefs' true bodies were gathered together, there was no doubt that the Devil Chief's attack this time could no longer use a concentrated strategy. If this continued, the Devil Chief's sacrifices would be too great. Therefore, the Devil Chiefs began to order the main bodies of the Devil Chiefs in the army to disperse and hide in different devil skeletons. This way, even if Qing Lin could sense where the true bodies were, he could not kill them all in one fell swoop. Furthermore, the Devil Leader tribe sent another Supreme God Peak expert to fight against Deputy General Qing Lin together with the original Supreme God Peak Devil Leader tribe expert. That guy had been confronting Deputy General Qing Lin, but Deputy General Qing Lin had easily dodged him. He had even rushed into Jiang Shenwu's area and killed 2 groups of Devil Kuei cultivators. But now, there were 2 devil puppets at the peak of the Transcendent God Realm, and a total of 6 devil puppets at the peak of the Transcendent God Realm. Qing Lin didn't even have a chance to join in the fight against the lower-level devil puppets. Just as I expected. Deputy General Qing Lin really has foresight. Kong Shinmu admired him. According to Deputy General Qing Lin, it would be very difficult for him to make a move now. However, the Devil Chiefs would also change their tactics. They would no longer use a concentrated attack, but would have the Devil Chiefs spread out and not give Deputy General Qing Lin a chance to kill them all at once. In this way, the Devil Chief's army was still unstoppable. With their overwhelming numbers of devil puppets, it was almost 3 against 2 as they advanced towards the Soaring Dragon stronghold. Currently, the Soaring Dragon stronghold was protected by a formation, and the protective power of the formation was very strong. It was the type that several supreme powerhouses would find it difficult to break through even if they joined forces. Therefore, if the other party wanted to take down the Soaring Dragon fortress, they had to continuously kill the practitioners of the Dragon God clan in order to be able to get close to the formation. Then, with the strength of the army, they could destroy the formation. Right now, they were only able to attack the stronghold in the first phase. They could only attack the stronghold from the outside and kill as many of the Devil Chiefs as possible. At the same time, they also needed to reduce the casualties of their own cultivators. If used correctly, the Devil Kuei Legion's tactic of concentrating their forces would be the most undefeatable. This kind of tactic would allow the Devil Chiefs to win the battle with the least amount of losses. After all, most of the Devil Chiefs were protected by powerful devil puppets. With layers of protection, it was extremely difficult for ordinary people to completely kill them. But now, the situation did not allow them to continue with this tactic. They could only have the Devil Kuei Legion retreat. Great changes had occurred on the entire battlefield. In such an open area, the orders of the Devil Kuei Legion's higher-ups were quickly transmitted to the entire battlefield. All of the Devil Kuei Legion's members and practitioners began to move according to the orders. As the orders were given, they scattered, disappearing into the surrounding devil puppets without any pattern. This was called a scattered tactic. The Devil Kuei Legion actually did not want to use it, mainly because scattered tactics brought about greater losses. If they used a concentrated tactic, then on an ordinary battlefield, for every Devil Kuei Legion member that died, the other side would lose dozens. But if they used a scattered tactic, the Devil Kuei Legion's losses would be much higher. Basically, for every person that died, the Dragon God clan could only lose 3 to 5 people. This was the difference in the ratio of casualties. Although scattered tactics would cause more casualties, there would not be the danger of being wiped out as a group. So, it was more suitable in this situation. But Kong Shinmu did not care about the other side's change in tactics. Because to Kong Shinmu, no matter how the other side changed, he could still easily find out where the Devil Kuei Legion's main body was. Although he did not have Deputy General Qing Lin's ability to instantly kill hundreds of devil chiefs, Kong Shinmu could still pass the news to the Dragon God clan's army and the Dragon Warrior teams who were fighting with the Devil Kuei Legion nearby. Kong Shinmu directly found the 2 Devil Kuei Legion's main bodies. They were hiding in a first-tier Supreme God Devil puppet. Then, Kong Shinmu directly transmitted the news to a nearby Dragon God clan team. This Dragon God clan team was originally fighting with a Devil Kuei Legion team, but they could not find the other side's main body. But when Kong Shinmu's news came, their expressions changed. What's that sound? Is it real? Or is it a trap? The Dragon Warrior trial team seemed to be a little uncertain. But soon, a secret military order was passed down directly from the Dragon Martial Warrior Corps of the Soaring Dragon Fortress. This secret military order was directed to every practitioner of the Dragon God clan. All the practitioners of the Dragon God clan on the battlefield received this secret military order. That was, if someone told you where the Devil Kuei Legion's main body was, you were to directly attack and kill the devil puppets. Such a military order was somewhat baffling to the people. After all, Kong Shinmu's range of action was limited. In the time it took for an incense stick to burn, he had only informed these 2 or 3 teams. But the Dragon Warrior cultivators in these 2 or 3 teams knew very well what they had received. Someone could directly tell them where the Devil Kuei Legion's main body was. This was basically letting them win. The Devil Kuei Legion's battle power was above the devil puppets, and their weakness was their main body. As long as they could directly find the other side's main body, the Devil Kuei Legion would definitely not be a match for the other races. The Dragon God clan was naturally able to easily kill the other party's true body, the demonic puppet, directly killing the other party. Chapter 50-50. The 3 squads headed straight for the location Kong Shinmu had sent the message. The devil chiefs whose main bodies had been discovered by Kong Shinmu immediately panicked. Unfortunately, the devil puppets in which they were hiding had been locked onto by the martialist dragon squads. When the martialist dragon squads attacked, there was no way they could escape. The martialist dragon squads had been surrounded by a large number of devil puppets, and because they didn't know where the main bodies of the devil chiefs were, they couldn't break free. But now, the martialist dragon squads unleashed their strongest techniques and charged toward the main bodies of the devil chiefs. Although the devil chief strategy of gathering together had been cancelled, if they fought in small groups, the main bodies of the devil chiefs would most likely be hiding in the same devil puppet. At this moment, the devil puppets of the Devil Kuei tribe were besieged by the 3 squads of dragon warriors. They didn't last long before the 3 squads of dragon warriors broke through their defensive line. All kinds of terrifying power swept out, blasting one of the devil puppets where the main bodies of the devil chiefs were gathered into pieces. As a result, the devil chiefs team they were facing was completely paralyzed. The surrounding devil puppets lost their ability to move and became puppets that no one could control. And similar things happened everywhere on the battlefield outside the Soaring Dragon Fortress. Kong Shinmu constantly traversed the battlefield, searching for the places where the main bodies of the devil chiefs were gathered. He then informed the nearby martialist dragon squads or the dragon gods' army of the dragon gods. Just like that, 4 hours passed. And Kong Shinmu's results were simply astonishing. In these 4 hours, he discovered the hiding places of at least 200 devil chiefs' main bodies. Of these, more than 180 were directly killed by the nearby dragon gods' experts. Adding on the 2 previous losses, the devil chiefs had lost more than 300 powerful army practitioners in a short period of time. This was an intolerable loss for the devil chiefs. But the war had just begun, and they couldn't withdraw because of this. But the devil chiefs had already received the news and roughly knew what was going on. Thus, the entire Devil Fiend tribe legion was ordered to remain hidden. That was, even small teams were not allowed to hide in the same demonic puppet. This way, they could prevent the enemy from concentrating their attacks. But there were still many devil chieftain squads that couldn't change their fighting habits. They still hid their true bodies in the same devil puppet. In the next 4 hours, Kong Shin-mu directly searched for such a devil chief's clan team and continued to inform the nearby dragon god's clan teams to attack. This caused the devil fiends to lose another 7 or 8 squads, a total of 103 devil fiends. This was the fastest result the Soaring Dragon Fort had achieved since the start of the war with the devil fiends. In less than half a day, Kong Shin-mu alone had killed 500 devil fiends. Apart from Kong Shin-mu, the legions of the Dragon God clan in the other battlefields had killed less than 500 devil chiefs. From this, it could be seen that Kong Shin-mu's contribution was obvious. Moreover, this was only the beginning for the Soaring Dragon Fortress and the Devil Fiends Legion. This chaotic battle of the fortress would last at least a few days and nights. To Kong Shin-mu, it was not a problem for him to not sleep or rest. He also didn't need to worry about his strength being depleted. He had been active on the battlefield of the Soaring Dragon Fortress. During this time, Gu Xinyue and the others found 1 or 2 devil puppets that were easier to deal with. However, they couldn't determine where their true bodies were. When Kong Shin-mu learned of this, he immediately rushed to the scene. He didn't plan on personally attacking. Instead, he found where the enemy's true bodies were hiding and sent their locations and targets to the nearby Supreme God Dragon warriors. In this way, Kong Shin-mu helped 3 more Supreme God tier devil fiends. Such an intense battle was the best training ground for Kong Shin-mu. His ability was vividly reflected in this war. Kong Shin-mu hid himself and moved freely. No devil fiends could detect his presence. As long as he avoided the Supreme Devil Fiends' territories, he would be fine. He was the perfect detector. On the battlefield, as long as he was there, the Devil Fiends could not hide their true bodies. And the enemy had no idea what had exposed their true bodies. Soon, there were almost no teams in the Devil Fiends Legion that would fight together. Almost all of them fought separately. Otherwise, Kong Shin-mu would report their targets and the Dragon Martial warriors would kill them all. However, even if they fought separately, Kong Shin-mu would not let them go. Under such circumstances, Kong Shin-mu directly reported the location of the strongest captains of the Devil Fiends teams. He immediately notified the surrounding Dragon Martialist squads and legions of Dragon Martialist powerhouses to launch precise attacks and kill the enemy leader. Then, the remaining members of the Devil Martialist squad would not be a threat at all. Such a blow to their captains caused the Devil Fiends to panic. After all, it wasn't Kong Shin-mu who attacked. It was the Dragon God Legion's teams. And the amazing thing was that they knew exactly where their captains were hiding. This caused a heated discussion in the Devil Leader Clan Legion. The higher-ups held a meeting and quickly came to the conclusion that there was a hidden Dragon God clan member who was helping the Dragon Warriors of the Dragon God Legion to find the hiding place of the Devil Leader Clan. Could it be that someone could see through the disguise of the Devil Fiends? No. It might not be a Dragon Martial warrior. It could be a divine artifact, or someone from another race. In short, the Devil Fiends' army was at a complete disadvantage. Although there were many Devil Fiends on the battlefield, once the Dragon Gods found out where the Devil Fiends' true bodies were, they would be targeted. They would lose the advantage that the Devil Fiends had. This put the Devil Xueqi tribe in a dilemma. Next, the Devil Fiends' army held out for a little more than a day. During this time, Kong Shin-mu found the true bodies of more than 200 Devil Fiends team captains. These Devil Fiends team captains were at least at the peak of the Emperor level, and the highest were at the 7th level of the Transcendent Realm. Kong Shin-mu found all of them, then informed the nearby Dragon God Legion and the Dragon Martial warriors to kill the enemy captains. Since the strongest captains had been killed, the remaining 10 or so ordinary Devil Fiends team captains were no longer a threat. Chapter 50-51. After a day of fighting, the Devil Xueqi tribe army did not gain any advantage. Instead, they lost at least 5,000 Devil Xueqi tribe warriors in this battle. It should be noted that once a squad leader died, the other squad members would not be able to fight back against a complete squad of the Dragon Gods or a squad of trainers. They would be quickly wiped out. In other words, although Kong Shin-mu had only provided the hiding place of the squad leader of the Devil Xueqi tribe, he had indirectly caused the complete destruction of the Devil Xueqi tribe squad. Originally, this would not have happened. After all, the true bodies of the Devil Xueqi tribe were hidden in a safe place. But now, the experts of the Devil Xueqi tribe were fighting on their own. Their true bodies were hidden in their own devil puppets. In this way, When the other dragon gods killed the devil puppets, they might also kill the devil Xueqi tribe's true bodies. After more than a day, the devil Xueqi tribe army had lost more than 5,000 people, while the dragon gods had only lost about 100 people. This battle had been chaotic from the beginning. Normally, the ratio of casualties should have been the other way around. But today, the devil Xueqi tribe finally tasted the taste of a day of heavy casualties. This forced the upper echelons of the devil Xueqi tribe army to retreat. They didn't dare to fight anymore. If they did, they were afraid that all of them would die in this war. Even the higher-ups of the 7th level of the Transcendent God were killed because the hiding place of their true bodies was exposed. This was simply unimaginable. The terrifying losses made the devil Xueqi tribe army afraid to continue fighting. They did not even want to fight for a moment. They had to find out why the devil Xueqi tribe's true bodies had been discovered. And when the devil Xueqi tribe army retreated, Kong Shinmu did not let them go. He took the opportunity to take a bite out of them. He once again discovered the hiding places of several Transcendent God experts. He ordered Deputy General Qing Lin and the others to lead people to kill them. After the devil Xueqi tribe army retreated, everyone in the soaring dragon fortress was seething with excitement. This battle was simply an unprecedented victory. The sacrifice of more than 100 people in exchange for the deaths of more than 5,000 devil Xueqi tribe people. This was the number announced by the fortress. For example, Yu Rulin's squad had killed at least dozens of devil Xueqi tribe opponents. This was all because the position of the devil Xueqi tribe team leader had been secretly transmitted to them so that they could focus and kill them. Then they had cleared out the surrounding devil Xueqi tribe members. It was a remarkable result. When this chaotic battle of attacking the arena, which had lasted for more than a day, ended hastily, all the dragon warriors in the soaring dragon fortress were already cheering. At the same time, the most discussed question in the fortress was, who was the one who sent them the voice transmission? If they had such a method to deal with the devil chiefs, why hadn't they used it earlier? Only Yu Rulin's team knew the truth. Yu Rulin and the others were in complete disbelief. The one who received the voice transmission was Yu Rulin herself, and she also discovered that the voice was very familiar. It was Jiang Shenwu, who had sparred with their team not long ago. Jiang Shenwu was able to discover the location of the enemy devil chiefs? This was an incomparably terrifying ability, and it could be said that he was the Devil Fiend tribe's killer. The entire Devil Fiend tribe's main battlefield had collapsed because of Jiang Shenwu's voice transmissions, which had revealed the location of the Devil Fiend's main bodies. This was a terrifying ability. It could be said that he was the Devil Xueqi tribe's killer. The collapse of the Devil Xueqi tribe's main battlefield was because of Kong Shinmu's voice transmissions. After all, they were not prepared at all. When they were besieged by the experts of the Dragon God Clan Legion, they had already lost the chance to escape. Only a few of the more cunning Devil Xueqi tribe members could change their location at any time, so sometimes the information provided by Kong Shinmu was not very accurate. This was because the other side had already moved while Kong Shinmu was providing the information. And Kong Shinmu could not keep an eye on one person until they were killed. Basically, after finding the coordinates of a team leader, he would immediately send a message to the nearby Dragon Xueqi tribe martial artists and leave. Even so, the Devil Xueqi tribe's losses were shocking. The other side only had 70 to 80,000 warriors, and this time, more than 5,000 had died. When the results of the battle came out, both the Dragon Gods and the Devil Xueqi tribe were seething with excitement. This was the worst battle the Devil Xueqi tribe had fought since they attacked the Dragon Gods. It was also the first battle where they called a retreat. The situation had been completely reversed. Of course, the Devil Xueqi tribe had some tricks up their sleeves. They had bribed some spies within the Dragon Gods, some of whom were in the Soaring Dragon Fortress. Now everyone in the Soaring Dragon Fortress was talking about this, so the Devil Xueqi tribe quickly learned that a mysterious voice transmission had been sent to the Dragon Gods during the battle, giving them the coordinates of the Devil Xueqi tribe's main body. This was the root cause of the Devil Xueqi tribe's defeat. This was a huge headache for the upper echelon experts of the Devil Fiend tribe. Why had they encountered such a situation? Where did the voice transmission come from? Was it a martial artist from another tribe? Was it a foreign aid invited by the Dragon Gods? Or was it a martial artist of the Dragon Gods with special powers who had just awakened? The experts of the Devil Fiend Legion had no idea what was going on, so they urgently discussed it with the other experts of the higher echelons. At this time, Kong Shinmu was not enjoying the people's celebration in the soaring dragon fortress. Instead, under the guidance of Deputy General Qing Lin, he went to another foreign fortress that was fighting against the Devil Kuei tribe. Here, the Devil Kuei tribe was also attacking a foreign fortress. The defense of the Dragon Martial Fortress was very difficult, but with Kong Shinmu's arrival, it could be said that it was like a hot knife through butter. In 2 hours, the Devil Kuei tribe army lost 1,000 people. In the 4th hour, the Devil Kuei tribe army had made tactical adjustments, so more than 700 people had died. But in the 6th hour, another 500 people had died. After 6 hours, the Devil Kuei tribe army did not dare to continue fighting, and the Devil Kuei tribe in this foreign fortress also retreated. Then, Deputy General Qing Lin led Kong Shinmu to the next fortress without stopping. Now, Kong Shinmu finally understood the meaning of speed is the most important thing in war. Because they had fled so quickly, the Devil Kuei tribe martial artists did not have time to react. This allowed Kong Shinmu to defeat the Devil Kuei tribe army 3 times in a row on the battlefield of the 3 foreign fortresses. Deputy General Qing Lin was astonished by this battle record. Jiang Shenwu's ability was a priceless treasure against the Devil Fiend tribe's legion. If he could continue like this, it was very likely that the Devil Kuei tribe army would be completely forced to retreat, and they would be forced to withdraw from this war. Chapter 50-52. The speed at which Kong Shinmu attacked was completely beyond the Devil Kuei tribe's expectations. Before the Devil Kuei tribe could react, Kong Shinmu had already rushed to the battlefields of several outland strongholds. On the battlefields of the Devil Kuei tribe, he dealt a heavy blow to the Devil Kuei tribe's army. This series of blows lasted for less than 3 days. As a result, the Devil Kuei tribe's army in all the strongholds retreated, temporarily holding up near the small world spatial fragment where their outland strongholds were located. The spatial fragment had appeared in the outland small world of the dragon gods at the same time, giving the 4 races a chance to take advantage of it. From the start of the war until now, the spatial fragment had basically been occupied by the 4 races. So when the Devil Kuei tribe retreated, they only retreated to another part of the outland small world. They did not completely leave the outland small world. This was normal. The war had lasted for a long time. If the Devil Kuei tribe retreated just like that, they would not be able to give the other 3 races a good explanation. But now, it was absolutely impossible for the Devil Kuei tribe to attack the outland strongholds again. Their losses were too great. In just 3 days, the total number of Devil Kuei tribe members killed in the outland strongholds had reached 30,000. Of course, part of this was due to Jiang Shenwu's efforts, but a large part was due to Jiang Shenwu's actions, which had completely disrupted the Demon Leader clan's strategic deployment. Thus, the Dragon God clan's army had seized a good opportunity while the Demon Leader clan's army was in a panic, and they had achieved even greater results. And the hero of all this was Kong Shinmu. In the Soaring Dragon stronghold, Kong Shinmu returned to the place where the war against the Devil Kuei tribe began. He was in a restaurant, and there were 2 people in front of him. One was Deputy General Qing Lin, and the other was Mo Ya. Both Deputy General Qing Lin and Mo Ya now looked at Kong Shinmu in a new light. Originally, Deputy General Qing Lin had only proposed an idea, but unexpectedly, Kong Shinmu had completed it beyond his expectations, causing the Devil Kuei tribe to suffer heavy losses. Kong Shinmu, I didn't expect you to have done such a great service this time. Mo Ya's gentle voice came from under her veil. It was obvious that she was in a good mood. The contribution you've made in this battle is probably comparable to the total contribution you've made in the past few months. Not bad. Deputy General Qing Lin smiled and nodded. This battle result is too good. It's even possible that the Demon Fiends tribe will never recover. Now that they're holed up in the camp on the other side of the spatial rift, there's no need for us to chase after them, lest we fall into their trap. However, since they don't dare to attack for the time being, we can send some people to help the other fortresses. This time, a total of 15 Outer Realm fortresses can be freed up, and at least 15 Supreme Experts can be dispatched. In this way we can completely catch the other races off guard, and increase the results of the battle. What Deputy General Qing Lin said had nothing to do with Kong Shinmu. Senior, you flatter me. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. Kong Shinmu smiled. Of course, it would be best if I could get some rewards for this. Of course. Deputy General Qing Lin nodded matter-of-factly. You've done such a great service this time. I believe your master will ask for some good rewards from the upper echelons of the dragon gods. Moya smiled gently and said, at the very least, your year-long training in the stronghold can end prematurely. The reward this time will even allow you to obtain enough Dubhe stone liquid, as well as sufficient cultivation resources. Kong Shinmu nodded. He roughly knew how great the impact of his actions this time was. After restraining the Devil Kuei clan, the dragon gods could even expand the results of the battle and support the other battlefields, reaping great rewards. This time around, if this matter was handled properly, they might really be able to end this war. At that time, Jiang Shenwu would become a great hero. But there was nothing Kong Shinmu could do now. He was only strong against the Devil Kuei clan, and if the Devil Kuei clan hid, there was nothing Kong Shinmu could do. So he simply stopped thinking about it. Next, he would wait for news in the Soaring Dragon Fortress, and also stay here to guard, in case the Devil Kuei clan's army suddenly launched a surprise attack. If that happened, things would not be fun. Why don't I think about what rewards I need? Kong Shinmu thought about it and felt that this was a good idea. The rewards he could get would definitely not be small. So first, he had to gather all the materials for the formless weapon. Previously, Kong Shinmu's idea was to create a formless weapon with 9 different battle patterns. But now, perhaps he could create 10? With one more battle pattern, the formless weapon he created would have one more change, and it would be able to adapt to a special environment. This might bring him great benefits in the future. Of course, he would need to pay more materials. Previously, Huang Shanka had said that a total of 91 portions of Dubhe stone liquid were needed to forge a formless weapon with 9 battle runes. However, if Jiang Shenwu wanted to forge a formless weapon with 10 battle runes, he would need a total of 140 portions of Dubhe stone liquid. In other words, Kong Shinmu would need to pay an additional 1 million gold dragon coins worth of Dubhe stone liquid. Where could he buy Dubhe stone liquid? Kong Shinmu could naturally use his achievement points to exchange for it. Kong Shinmu believed that even if he exchanged for this amount of Dubhe stone liquid, he would still have a lot of achievement points left. In this way, Kong Shinmu could consider removing the mark on his Starry Sky Small World. The Starry Sky Small World wasn't just a small world, it was also a sacred item. Therefore, once the mark of the Starry Sky Small World was removed, Kong Shinmu could even use it against his enemies and unleash extremely strong power. If the mark was not removed, the power of the Starry Sky Small World would be equivalent to the power of a peak Emperor-level powerhouse. Once the first mark was removed, it would be equivalent to the power of a level 5 Supreme God. And if the second mark was removed, it would be equivalent to the power of a peak Supreme God. Kong Shinmu was considering whether he could remove 2 of the marks of the Starry Sky Small World. If that was the case, he would have the guarantee to fight against a peak Supreme God. Although it was only his own power, it would be his strongest power at the moment. The key now was that he didn't know how the battle would develop. Therefore, Kong Shinmu's credit for this operation had not been determined. Chapter 50-53. Now, Kong Shinmu had a lot of choices. However, he still needed to think about what to choose. In short, Kong Shinmu was free for the time being, and there was nothing else he needed to do. His tense heartstrings could finally relax a little, and he quietly observed the development of the situation. While Kong Shinmu was waiting for the overall situation of the dragon gods to develop, he stayed in the Soaring Dragon Fortress to cultivate and consolidate his cultivation. He needed to completely consolidate his peak Emperor-level power. As for Gu Xinyue and the other 3, they returned to the Starry Sky Small World and began to prepare, like Kong Shinmu, to break through to the 3rd level of the power of the Starry Sky. At this stage, even Gu Xinyue and Chu Yueqiang mainly cultivated the power of the Starry Sky. After all, the 2 women's peak Emperor-level power of the dragon gods had already been completely consolidated. If they didn't want to break through, there was no need to spend too much effort on it. Anyway, Kong Shinmu hadn't broken through yet, and for Gu Xinyue and Chu Yueqiang, they didn't want to break through first. Otherwise, if there was another mid-level relic that could only be entered by those below the Transcendent Realm, they wouldn't be able to go with Kong Shinmu. 3 months later. The overall situation of the war between the Dragon Gods and the 4 clans was completely reversed after Kong Shinmu caused the Devil Leader clan army to suffer heavy losses. Originally, the Dragon Gods had been relying on their fortress to defend against the joint attack of the 4 clans. But as the Devil Leader clan army retreated with heavy losses, the dragon gods launched a surprise attack. They gathered the mighty dragon warriors, who were fighting against the devil fiend race's army in the stronghold, and formed a quick action team of 15 people. These 15 supreme experts were dragon martial artists. As long as they didn't encounter the other party's supreme army, they were basically invincible. If the Devil Leader clan army hadn't retreated, they wouldn't have been able to mobilize so many people. But now, these 15 supreme dragon martialists had gone directly to the other outland fortresses, gathered together, and launched a fatal attack on the attacking armies of the 4 races. In one of the outworld fortresses that were fighting against the Demon God clan, a team of 15 supreme experts launched a surprise attack and killed 2 supreme experts of the Demon God clan, as well as at least 30,000 cultivators of the Demon God clan's army in the outworld fortresses. This was a victory against the demon gods. Before the other party could even react, 2 supreme powerhouses were besieged and killed by 15 dragon martial artists of the same level. Although the news had been sent out, the other party could not send reinforcements in time. 2 supreme demon god clan powerhouses and 3 10,000-strong demon god legions were annihilated just like that. The demon god clan's territory in the outland stronghold was immediately cleared, and the supreme expert who originally guarded that stronghold led people to guard the Void Rift. And this was only one of the raids. In the first month after Kong Shin-mu defeated the Devil Leader clan army, this team of 15 supreme experts launched 6 raids. The Demon God clan, the Talisman Water clan, and the Emperor Bat clan were all attacked by these 15 supreme experts, and suffered heavy casualties. In total, at least 10 supreme experts and more than 100,000 cultivators from the various races had died. Including the Devil Leader clan, the 4 races had suffered heavy losses. The terrible losses made the 4 races feel a little scared. When they learned that the cause of the incident was that the Devil Leader clan army had been restrained by some method of the dragon gods, and could not continue to attack the dragon gods' outworld fortresses, they were completely speechless about the Devil Leader clan's defeat. But there was nothing they could do. The other 3 races even joined forces with the Devil Leader clan to reorganize the attack on the Soaring Dragon Fortress. But the 15 supreme experts appeared directly above the Soaring Dragon Fortress, and once again defeated the opposing army. Of the 70,000 to 80,000 Devil Leader clan army and allied army, at least 30,000 to 40,000 people died. This was the true meaning of a river of blood. If the supreme experts began to slaughter the emperor-level and supreme god-level cultivators, it would be as easy as cutting vegetables. It was too easy. Unfortunately, they had been suppressed and held back all this time, and could not go and help. After all, the other side had a lot of supreme experts, and they were basically watching them closely. But now, the Devil Leader clan's retreat gave the dragon gods a great opportunity. Now that the Devil Leader clan had realized that something was wrong, and that there was a problem with their strategy, they still did not dare to launch a large-scale attack on the outworld fortresses. Because they still could not find out why they had been beaten so badly and suffered such heavy losses. Although the other 3 races had joined forces to put pressure on the Devil Leader clan to quickly attack the dragon gods' outworld fortresses, they had to use the lives of their own people to buy time, and they were far from victory. How could they be willing to do anything? As a result, the 15 supreme warriors became the mobile force team members. Once there was a battle, they would go directly to help. And so, 3 months later, the 4 races finally could not bear the pressure. Because as more and more of their supreme experts were killed, more and more supreme experts from the dragon god side were released, and they could be distributed. At first, there were 15 supreme expert squads. But soon it became 18, 20, and finally after 3 months it became a 24-man squad. Other than a few supreme experts who needed to guard some checkpoints, many of the released supreme-level powerful dragon warriors all joined this mobile squad and began to run on the battlefield, killing enemy clansmen one after another. Blood flowed like a river. The events that had taken place in the past 3 months had almost completely exhausted the advantages that the 4 major races had accumulated. The Devil Leader clan did not dare to attack rashly, and could only guard near the Void Crack. And the dragon gods did not pay attention to the Devil Leader clan's army. As for the Xueqi clan, the dragon gods also threw out a big secret. Qi Yan, the princess of one of the Xueqi clan tribes, was in the hands of the dragon gods. This news spread, and there was internal conflict among the Xueqi clan. The other royal families did not intend to kill Qi Yan, and wanted to directly attack the dragon gods. But the royal family that Qi Yan belonged to did not want to give up, and hoped to stop the war. Because Qi Yan was the most talented person in the young generation of their royal family, She could not fall on such a battlefield. Originally, the four races attacked the dragon gods because it was profitable, and at that time, the void crack had suddenly opened. They thought they could take advantage of it and gain a lot of benefits. But now it seemed, after the war reached a stalemate, the dragon gods found an opportunity to attack them. Chapter 50-54. After all, up until now, the four major races had not gained anything from the war. Moreover, so many people had died one after another. How could they not want to retreat? The losses were too great, and the four major races could not bear it. The leaders of the four major races did not mind the deaths of these people. There were inevitably some sacrifices in war, but the key was that they had not gained anything, which was terrible. Moreover, after this great loss, there were more and more voices of opposition within the four major races. These voices of opposition put a lot of pressure on the leaders of the four major races. Although most of the voices of opposition came from the people, many nobles also began to oppose this war. Originally, these nobles of the four major races had agreed to this war because they could get some benefits after the war. They had even paid a lot of price and resources for this. But now, their losses were too great, to the point where they could not bear it anymore. Many of the nobles' private legions had been sacrificed in this war, and there were also people like Xueqi, who had been captured or even killed in the war. This caused a lot of internal conflict among the four major races. Of course, it was impossible for the four great races to be completely united. Originally, they might have been able to temporarily work together because they had common interests and goals. But now, as Jiang Xinwu started the massacre of the Demon Fiend Race Legion, the losses of the four great races had reached a critical point. This critical point caused the voices of opposition within the four major races to grow louder and louder, and the leaders could not suppress it anymore. A temporary truce was the decision made by the leaders of the four major races. How could the dragon gods let go of such an opportunity? Kong Xinmu, you have a new mission. Deputy General Qing Lin once again found Kong Xinmu. After these 3 months, the situation of the dragon gods was very good. Deputy General Qing Lin smiled and found Kong Xinmu, who was cultivating. We urgently need a victory. The Devil Leader Clan Legion of the Soaring Dragon Fortress is still stationed around the Void Fissure and has not retreated. This time, the Soaring Dragon Fortress intends to join forces with the other two fortresses to attack the Devil Leader Clan Legion together. We will take the elite route and kill the leader. Deputy General Qing Lin explained a little and Kong Xinmu understood what he meant. It turned out that this time, the three strongholds had joined forces and sent out most of their elites. Then, with Kong Xinmu leading the way, they would go and destroy the Devil Fiend tribe's base. According to the information, there were 2 supreme experts in the army of the Devil Fiends in the small world of the Soaring Dragon stronghold. These 2 supreme experts would be led away by the 2 supreme commanders of the Soaring Dragon Fortress. After they were lured away, Kong Xinmu and the others attacked the camp of the Devil Fiends Legion. Of course, most of the devil puppets were in the camp of the Devil Chieftain Legion. No one knew where the true bodies of the Devil Chieftain Legion were hiding. They might be resting in their devil puppets, or they might be gathering in someone else's devil puppet, so they needed Kong Xinmu's help. Of course, Kong Xinmu had no objections. Obviously, this was something that would bring great benefits to Kong Xinmu. He agreed without any hesitation. 3 days later, the operation began. Kong Xinmu followed the elite experts of the Soaring Dragon Fortress. They were mainly high-level supreme gods. There were also some high-level supreme gods from the dragon gods from the other 2 strongholds. There were more than 30 deputy generals who had reached the 7th level of the supreme god realm. Together, these people were enough to flatten the base camp of the Devil Leader clan. Of course, apart from these dragon gods clan experts who were at the transcendent god level 7 and above, there were also 120 mid-level transcendent gods level 4 to level 6 experts. These experts planned to help out this time. They were also in charge of logistics, scouting for information and information about the enemy. They would also monitor the surroundings and pass on information. After all, on the battlefield, information was the most important thing. Their operation began in secret, and the Devil Chieftain Legion did not receive any news at all. It was not until the 2 supreme commanders of the Devil Chieftain Legion were lured away that Kong Xinmu and the others finally appeared in the camp of the Devil Chieftain Legion. Suddenly, the nightmare of the Devil Chieftain Legion began. Originally, even if they were ambushed by the experts of the dragon gods, How could such a small number of dragon gods destroy more than 100,000 devil puppets? But now, they had Kong Shinmu with them. Kong Shinmu's sensory abilities allowed him to find them accurately. The aura of the Devil Chieftain Legion could not be hidden from him at all. As Jiang Shenwu sensed the existence of the main bodies of the Devil Chiefs one after another, some of the main bodies of the Devil Chiefs had gathered in some devil puppets and were having a gathering. However, they were all captured by the warriors of the dragon gods. This time, there were 30 experts who were at the 7th level of the Supreme God Realm and above in the team. These 30 people all gave Kong Shinmu a thumbs up. Without a doubt, Kong Shinmu's sensory abilities were too powerful. There was no way for the Devil Chieftain Legion to escape. The Supreme Commanders had been lured away. Even if they discovered the abnormality in the camp, they could not escape and return so quickly. Therefore, it was time for a massacre. In an instant, the camp of the Devil Chieftain Legion erupted with incomparably pitiful cries. As Jiang Shenwu found more and more locations of the Devil Fiend race's main bodies, the Devil Fiend race's encampment was filled with blood. Countless Devil Fiend race cultivators didn't even know how they died. The commotion in the camp had alerted the entire Devil Chieftain Legion, but they could not do anything. Right now, Kong Shinmu and the others were deep inside the camp. The 50,000 to 60,000 of them wanted to gather together and activate the defensive formation, but they could not do so. This was because the defensive formation could not defend against the enemies inside and around them. Only when one's own people gathered together could they activate the defensive array formation. In such a chaotic situation, it was impossible to activate any large-scale defensive formations. As a result, Kong Shinmu and the others were like fish in water. The 8th level Devil Chieftain Legion's main body, killed. The 9th level Devil Chieftain Legion's main body, killed. These powerful Devil Chieftain Legion's main bodies could not hide their auras in front of Kong Shinmu. Once they were found by Kong Shinmu, they would be surrounded and attacked. More than 30 dragon gods of the dragon gods rushed forward. The enemy did not even have time to react before they died. Chapter 50-55. In this battle, the other side had not been able to organize a proper counterattack. It was not until the two Supreme Masters were about to return that Jiang Shenwu and the others decided to retreat. The dragon gods couldn't hold on any longer. When they left, there were already tens of thousands of devil puppets in the Devil Chief's camp. They had lost their ability to move and were lying paralyzed on the ground. These 10,000 devil puppets had been condensed from the true bodies of the dead devil chieftains. When their masters had been killed, these devil puppets had become useless. At most, they had become nutrients for the other devil chieftains, or cultivation resources for them. In other words, the Devil Chief's army had suffered heavy losses this time. When the two supreme experts returned, they were horrified to find that all the people under their banner had been slaughtered. Deputy generals above the 7th level of the Transcendent God level? Not a single one was left. They had all been found and killed. Deputy generals between the 4th and 6th level of the Transcendent God level? There were a few left, mainly because there was not enough time. Kong Shinmu and the others had to retreat. But besides that, Kong Shinmu and the others had killed more than 2,000 people between the 7th level of the Transcendent God level to the 3rd level of the Transcendent God level. As for the other devil chiefs who had been affected, they had not been counted. Of course, at least 1,000 or 2,000 of these weaker soldiers had been killed. Originally, Jiang Shenwu's goal was not to kill these devil chieftain pawns. However, when they wanted to kill the deputy generals, these pawns were right next to them. In that case, they would naturally kill them along the way. They would not waste any time at all. 6 hours after they set off, Kong Shinmu and the others returned in triumph. After this trip, the Devil Fiend Legion's combat power in the Soaring Dragon Stronghold Small World was almost completely wiped out. Most of the high-ranking combat power had already been wiped out. They did not have the ability to launch any more attacks on the fort. And in this battle, Kong Shinmu's sensitive perception was amazing to the extreme. Everyone knew that it was extremely difficult to find the main body of the Devil Chiefs, but to Kong Shinmu, it was as easy as eating and drinking. He could sense the location of the main body of the Devil Chiefs. This was simply astonishing. In other words, he was the greatest bane of the Devil King tribe. Such a terrifying ability made it impossible for the main body of the Devil Chiefs to escape. They were like turtles in a jar. After returning, everyone held a celebration banquet for Kong Shinmu. In this way, the powerful deputy generals, and even the commander-in-chief of the soaring dragon fortress all got to know Jiang Shenwu, the genius young dragon martialist, and admired him greatly. The soaring dragon fortress had already given Jiang Shenwu all the heaven's core stone liquid they had. Not only that, they had also given him a lot of achievement points. These achievement points could be exchanged for at least 500,000 gold dragon coins worth of cultivation resources. But there was still no news from Emperor Shi's side, mainly because the battle was not over yet. It was not yet time for Kong Xinmu to be rewarded according to his merits. Perhaps Emperor Shi had not even mentioned it. After all, who knew if Kong Xinmu would make more contributions in the future? That way, if he wanted rewards, he would have more resources and reasons. Just like this time, he had directly helped the dragon chiefs defeat the middle and upper echelons of the devil chief's army, almost completely annihilating them. Only Kong Xinmu could achieve such a shocking result. If not for Kong Xinmu, even a powerful expert like Deputy General Qing Lin would not have survived if he had fallen into the enemy camp of the devil chief's army. No matter how strong he was, he would not have been able to find the main body of the enemy expert. He would have been easily exhausted and killed. Kong Xinmu had become the nightmare of the devil chiefs. After the celebration banquet, Kong Xinmu went to rest. Next, he followed the prescribed order and continued to consolidate his cultivation strength. Although his dragon god's cultivation had reached the peak of the emperor level, the real combat power that he could exert was still not complete. Over the past 3 months, he had been consolidating his strength through the devouring power and some actual combat training with the dragon martial artists of the army. Of course, his opponents were all peak emperor-level dragon martial artists. These dragon martial artists were basically no match for Jiang Shenwu. However, if Jiang Shenwu were to fight them with the cultivation of the dragon god clan at the peak of the emperor stage, he would still be able to obtain a lot of benefits, which had a good effect on consolidating his strength. So, Kong Xinmu continued to consolidate his strength for 3 months. In these 3 months, he had completely consolidated his cultivation as a peak emperor-level dragon god. He could exert 100% of the strength of a peak emperor-level dragon god. In this state, he was confident that he could break through to the level of Super Shenron in one go. Of course, he still had no intention of breaking through. After all, his combat power had reached the 4th level of the transcendent god realm. With the inheritance of the starry sky, he did not particularly need the improvement of the dragon gods. He still wanted to try and see if he could enter another intermediate relic before breaking through to Super Shenron. For the current Kong Xinmu, an advanced relic was still too ambitious. For Kong Xinmu, however, an intermediate relic was like a treasure trove full of treasures. Kong Xinmu even planned to go to some permanent intermediate relic. These permanent intermediate relic were basically explored by the experts of the various races. They were always open and explored, but there were still many secrets that had not been fully explored. Entering such an intermediate relic meant fighting with the strongest peak emperor-level experts of the other races. Whether it was the war weapon or the martial arts techniques that the other party possessed, they were definitely the strongest peak emperor-level experts. Moreover, he had cultivated them to the point of perfection. His compatibility with the war weapon had also reached the peak. With such combat power, he could easily deal with ordinary first-level transcendent god realm experts. For Kong Xinmu, if he encountered such an old fellow, it would definitely be very difficult to deal with. The other party was definitely rich in combat experience. It was impossible for him to be defeated by Kong Xinmu so easily. These old fellows had lived for so long. Even if their combat power was not strong, they definitely had their own set of survival rules. In an intermediate relic, how could they be so easily killed by a junior? Therefore, Kong Xinmu still wanted to challenge them. Moreover, in the permanent intermediate relic, many powerful existences had been unearthed. For example, there had been some 9-layer engravings of heaven and earth sacred items. They had become the treasures of the various races and could protect the race for a long time. Chapter 50-56. If it was a permanent relic, there was no need to wait for it to open. The dragon gods controlled dozens of intermediate permanent relic, 7 of which were completely controlled by the dragon gods, and the rest were jointly controlled with other races. The intermediate relic that was jointly controlled was more difficult to explore, because there would be cultivators of other races to stop them. But if it was a permanent relic that was completely controlled by the dragon gods, it had basically been explored, and there was nothing good to get. After all, without the interference of other races, the dragon gods could completely arrange dragon warriors to form small teams to enter, and it would be easier to explore if they cooperated with each other. The more complicated the environment, the more difficult it was to explore, the deeper the treasure was. A permanent relic that was jointly controlled by multiple races was naturally Kong Shinmu's goal. Of course, this also had to wait until his formless weapon was truly forged. However, even if the formless weapon is forged, it will be a Supreme Divine level dragon weapon. As for the Supreme Divine dragon weapon, I have not yet broken through to the Supreme Divine level in terms of the inheritance of the dragon gods. This also meant that after Kong Shinmu obtained the formless weapon, the power he could exert was not strong, maybe only 30% of its power. But even if it was only 30% of the power, the ability of the formless weapon would not be weaker than the Great Sorrow Heavenly Dragon Seal, Phantom Ghost Book, and other heaven-level Holy Spirit dragon weapons. Everything had to wait for Master Huang Shanka to forge it. The next thing was to wait. But the wait didn't last long. Soon, Deputy General Qing Lin found Kong Shinmu and asked Kong Shinmu to go back to the fortress of Iron Phoenix where Emperor Shi was. Kong Shinmu knew that there was news about Emperor Shi, so he said goodbye to Deputy General Qing Lin and returned to the fortress of Iron Phoenix with Mo Ya. In the fortress of Iron Phoenix, Mo Ya and Kong Shinmu appeared together in the city lord's residence. Emperor Shi, we are back. Mo Ya walked in front. Under her white clothes was a perfect slender figure. She seemed very relaxed in front of Emperor Shi. Their relationship should be quite good. Of course, Kong Shinmu already knew this. Mo Ya, thank you for your hard work. Did this guy give you any trouble? The voice of the divine dragon of Emperor Shi came from the main hall. Jiang Shenwu followed and walked forward. He saw Emperor Shi's divine dragon dressed in red. On her extremely beautiful face, there was a faint smile that seemed to be there but wasn't. Emoya shook her head and gently said, "No. He's very sensible." Sensible? Kong Shinmu didn't know why Emoya would use this word to describe him. He felt that Emoya was treating him like a child. Kong Shinmu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Kong Shinmu, welcome back safely. Emperor Shi sized up Kong Shinmu and pursed his lips into a smile. He then said, "You have done well in this expedition. Now that the war is about to end, the four races are about to retreat from our outland stronghold. Of course, the Fu Shui clan has raised a condition for you to release Princess Qi Yan. The negotiations of the other three races have nothing to do with you. But for the Fu Shui clan, they are only unwilling to release Princess Qi Yan." Kong Shinmu listened and nodded. He asked, "Then Master, what do you mean?" "What I mean is, not to release her." Emperor Shi unexpectedly gave an answer. He smiled slightly and said, "This is a trump card when you meet the Fu Shui clan in the future. Now that the Fu Shui clan is unwilling to release her, let them be. As long as the other three races retreat, can the Fu Shui clan still threaten us?" Kong Shinmu couldn't help but be stunned by this answer. Amazing. This move was going to infuriate the Fu Shui clan. If the other three races retreat, the dragon gods wouldn't need to give any benefits. If they retreat, it can be considered that they are begging us. Emperor Shi smiled and said, "If they don't retreat, we can completely drive them away. We just want to save some trouble, so we accepted their request to negotiate. No matter what, they have to compensate us with a lot of things. As for Princess Qi Yan, you don't need to return her. Just keep the princess. Maybe she will be of special use in the future." "Okay." Kong Shinmu nodded. Originally, he thought that Princess Qi Yan might be taken away by the upper echelons of the dragon gods and then used to exchange for hostages with the Fu Shui clan. Now it seemed that the dragon gods were quite strong and didn't need her. This war ended so quickly, and our dragon gods received a huge amount of resources as compensation, Emperor Shi said with a smile. Emperor Shi smiled and said, "This is all because you were the first to defeat the army of the devil fiend race. So, I have already applied for rewards that match this time's merits. You can choose cultivation resources worth a total of 80 million gold dragon coins. Of course, you can't convert them into gold dragon coins, because this time, the compensation of the other three races was also paid with cultivation resources." Hearing this, Kong Shinmu held his breath. It was a little hard for him to imagine how much the four races had paid in order to retreat safely this time. If they didn't pay compensation, They would at least have to pay hundreds of thousands of lives in the small world of the dragon god's outer domain fortress. So, this was spending money to avoid disaster. As some of the supreme cultivators of the four races were killed, they had completely collapsed. In some of the small worlds of the outer domain fortress, they couldn't escape even if they wanted to. The cracks in the space were already controlled by the dragon gods. The foreign armies that invaded the small worlds of the outer domain fortress were instead driven away. They lived in fear in the small worlds of the outer domain fortress. If these people wanted to leave, they had to rely on the smooth negotiations of their own races. Otherwise, they would definitely be trapped in the small worlds of the outer domain fortress. Emperor Shi alone had won 80 million gold dragon coins of cultivation resources for Kong Xin Mu. This amount shocked Kong Xin Mu. "Are you scared?" Seeing this, Emperor Shi couldn't help but cover his mouth and chuckle. When the four races paid compensation, the resources were deducted at a 50% discount. But when you are rewarded, it is given at the original price. So, you don't have to be too excited. Moreover, although so many cultivation resources sound like a lot, for you who have a small world, it is nothing at all. Have a small world? Hearing this, Kong Xin Mu was shocked. Could it be that Emperor Shi already knew? The matter of the small world of the starry sky was a big secret to Kong Xin Mu. Don't be surprised. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.